What if Gen 9 were set in the Middle East? Well, we can see what that might look like with the ASONE region. Hey everybody, Brandon here, and yes, today we are finally reviewing True Green 7's ASONE region. I've gotten so many requests over the past region reviews to review this region, so I am so happy to provide this for the people who've been asking. For those unfamiliar, the ASONE region is a video series by True Green 7 that's taken place over the past few years, in which he's been making fake mon for his own Middle Eastern based region. So the age of these designs ranges from 2018 all the way up till now. So if you want to know the design basis, origins, all that good stuff, make sure to watch the video series. In this video, I'm only going to be covering the designs. I'm only going to be reacting to each of the designs because I myself have actually not watched the video series. I tried to remain spoiler free of the ASONE region, so that way if we ever did a region review, it would be my genuine reaction. So a lot of these mons I'm going to be seeing for the first time. But I am familiar with some of the mons, I'm fairly familiar with the starters, I've seen a couple regional variants and the legendaries, I think. Anyway, before we get started, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to keep up to date with future videos on the channel. So the format of this video is going to be a bit different just because this is a YouTube video that is the full text rather than the Instagram where I'm scrolling through things. So I'm going to try and work it out best, but if certain parts of this video get cut off, I'm sorry, it's just the way I have to format this to make it work. First up, we have the grass starter, which is Elephant, the moss elephant Pokemon, and I really like this design. I really like the yellow eye. The color choices in general are really cool, and the little sprout on the head and the sprout on the tail gives that little, how do I say, je ne sais quoi, that little bit of that grass starter element to it, while maintaining a different kind of coloration of a gray against the green, which we don't really see gray prominently featured in a starter Pokemon before, but against the green, it kind of looks like mountains. You know, it kind of looks like the gray is the mountains, and it almost looks like these little dots are kind of like the sun peeking over the mountains, which is kind of a cool little design, element there. So, like I said, I'm familiar with the starters, but I'm not 100% familiar, so maybe this is going to be a grass rock type just based on that whole, mountain design element, but we will see. So Ron does provide a little bit of an explanation to these, which I'm pretty much covering right now. At least that's what I'm thinking is going to happen. I'm probably going to cover up the dex entries, but if you want to read them and you want to hear more about these things, yet again, make sure to check out the playlist. I'm only going to be reviewing the designs of these, and I'll be probably reading the dex entries in my own time. But anyway, let's continue onward. Next up, we have Mustrunk, the Overgrowth Pokemon, and this is Grass Rock type now, so I did indeed call it that it is a Grass Rock type, and it has Overgrow as its ability. That's a really cool typing and ability. I love a Grass Rock type for a Grass starter. It's a unique type combo. I don't think we've had that in Grass starters. We have Grass Ground with Torterra, but never Grass Rock. But this is cool, and it is indeed leaning more into its back, kind of being that kind of mountainous kind of thing, and those berries are becoming more prominent and looking more like some form of jewelry on its head, like these two dots up there. They're kind of looking like it's going to form into some kind of jewelry, and I like the bush on the back, and I like how they made the yellow into more of an orange now, the like yellowish features of Elephant into more of an orange now. And it's got these little tiny tusks. It still kind of feels like it has that baby elephant vibe to it without, it's definitely got that teenager energy of the middle stage, but without being too outwardly feeling like it's the, final evolution. I feel like a lot of middle stages in fan regions can look like they're supposed to be the final stage when they're at, just the middle stage. So this perfectly has that balance of that in between of the base and the final stages. And the last stage of the grass starter is Pressifant, the mountain Pokemon, and it's gone full tilt into the mountainous back. And like I said, the berries have become this this jewelry, and kind of like on the side, it's a little bit of an accent. It's kind of like those like the saddle cloth things that you see on elephants. Like when people are riding elephants, they have this little saddle and the cloth off the side. That's kind of the design element there. Its feet are very they have that like mountain to them. Like every part of this design screams mountain, and I'm now just seeing that its trunk is a fist, which is really interesting. So that must be like some kind of reference to like how elephants use their trunks as kind of like a second or like not a second hand, but a hand, because they don't have hands, Brandon. Duh. But kind of like how they use their trunk as a hand, kind of like that kind of thing. So maybe it's just taking that idea literally. But this is really cool, and it almost looks like the Mossif's become like a mask for him, which is, you know, really cool. I really dig this design. Next up is our fire starter, which is Smokehalf, the calf Pokemon, and they're going along with the Ox of the Chinese Zodiac here, and it's just simple. It's just a simple fiery calf Pokemon. It got little fire elements, you know, with the chest kind of looking like a flame, the wisp of hair kind of looking like a flame, and even the tail. And it's kind of giving me Growlithe vibes with its coloration, and that little wisp of hair kind of gives me that Growlithe energy to it. But yeah, it's just kind of a simple design, which I appreciate. So as I'm looking further into the video, it looks like Smokehalf can like ignite its hair and tail, which is kind of cool as well, given that fiery element that some of those fire starters have, like Charmander or Chimchar, giving the literal fire element to its design. Smokehalf evolves into Agnite, the cattle Pokemon, and its tail is fully on fire now, no on-off situation like Smokehalf. And it's got this eye marking, like Egyptian, kind of got the same vibe as, you know, Pidgeot in that way. It's got this emo band going over it, and then it's got this jewelry on its forehead, kind of similar to the Elephant line where they had kind of like the berries as the feature of the jewelry. This one is like more like almost like it's supposed to be a third horn or a third eye. I'm not sure, but it's got gold incorporated into its design, so I'm kind of curious what typing this is going to be, because the Elephant line had the Grass Rock typing present in the secondary stage, where in the second stage it's still pure fire type. So you know, I'm getting this kind of electric vibe from it. The bands around the arms are kind of spiky, kind of got that yellowish goldish tint to them, but we'll see. Finally, we have Oxinerate, the sacred Pokemon, and it looks like it's become fire fairy type, which I like that interpretation of fairy type as kind of like it's sacred, it's venerated, it's holy, it's, you know, got that fairy typing to it, something godly. Like that. It's kind of cool to implement that fairy type. And, you know, a fire fairy type, you know, the rock and fairy, you know, secondary typings don't align, which is really cool, because a lot of people get caught up in like having to have the type trio make sense for the final evolutions. They have to have that secondary type trio to make sure that you know, it does a full circle, but it doesn't always have to do that. And I think it's good to kind of try and break out of that if you can. So I love this design. I love the little jewel encrusted elements to its shoulders and its knees, and that gold, you know, aspect that I was talking about in the previous stage is now presented even more in this stage, which is a good, you know, it's good to carry over those little elements and then improve upon them, which is, you know, just kind of the basis of evolution. A lot of people will just like make their starters bigger, like, oh, this is this starter but then bigger, but this is like, it actually adds more elements, like it improves upon the elements of its previous stage, which I think is really cool. For our water starter, we have Dolflo, the wave Pokemon, and this is so good. I actually adore this Pokemon. It is so cute. Wow, like this is perfectly like what I think we would get if we got a dolphin Pokemon. I don't know how we have 900 Pokemon and there's no dolphin Pokemon. Make it happen, Game Freak. Like, it's a dolphin. Like, it's so, like, I don't know. Anyway, Dolflo is just so adorable. Ron really nailed the cuteness factor on this mon, and like I said, the base stages have been so simple, which is so good. Like, I like how like simplistic the base stages have felt. They're not overly complicated. There's not too many design elements to them, which is good because it's the first stage. You give it room to grow, you know? Dolflo evolves into Mentitle, the psychic wave Pokemon. So it looks like we're moving into a water psychic type, which is interesting because it's not present yet. It doesn't, it's water, but it has these psychic elements to it that aren't actually a part of its typing right now. So that's interesting. It looks like it's doing like the kind of like that kind of meme, which is kind of funny to me, but it's got this like X on its chest. I'm very interested. Oh wait, hold on, I'm like looking at it, and these little psychic elements are actually not, it looks like they're not actually a part of its body, because like the fin stops and you can see like it's kind of see-through with this like psychic, you know, like thing going on here. That's really cool. So it's got like the psychic water it can control. Cool. So yeah, I read the decks a little bit, and it looks like these are some kind of psychic bubbles it can control. I am curious as to why we haven't gotten the psychic typing yet, especially considering its name is the Psychic Wave Pokemon, but I'm sure it will be present in the final design. And the final stage is Bellumar, the Psychic Wave Pokemon continuing that Psychic Wave, and its Psychic Waves have been like enhanced and even are more pink now and vibrant, and like the way this was like the what's the word? The art style on this is impeccable, actually. The shading and the lighting is really well done. And I just really like the way he did this. And the X on that chest has become like this like spikes, like it has like spikes throughout its design, which is really, really different. Like for a psychic typing, it's you know, psychics, you know, usually are more like calm, cool, collected. But this design has more of a like, you know, a grunginess to it in a way, which is really interesting. It says it can shoot pressurized water mixed with psychic energy, so they never miss. So cool. Like, guess they never miss, huh? As far as who I'd pick, I'd probably have to say the Dolflo line. I think Dolflo is so adorable, such a cute freaking dolphin Pokemon. And then it evolves into Bellumar, like all the way to Bellumar, and it is so epic. Like, it just got this like, I don't know, this like, it's so different from the traditional psychic types. It has like this edginess to it. That's the word. Like this edginess. And I'm also just noticing it has a scar over its eye, which is epic. Like it's got all these like kind of spikes and slashes, and it's been through some stuff. Like it's really cool. And I think it's a really, like water psychic type is just such a cool type combo, especially for a starter. So yeah, I think I would go with the Dolflo line. Looks like we have a Route 1 rodent, and it is Erodent, and I think that name is super clever, and it's based on a naked mole rat, which is so cute. They made this naked mole rat so cute, because naked mole rats are not very cute in real life, but this one is super cute, and it reminds me of Rufus from Kim Possible, so I just love its vibes. It's just a simple, normal type, you know, naked mole rat, super cute. A rodent evolves into Ratdozer, which is a normal ground type. It is another normal ground type along with Bunnelby and Diggersby. So it's really cool. To me, the design is like really blocky. It almost gives me rock type. It even has like the jewel in its forehead. So kind of, I kind of gonna get more of a rock type feeling from this, but I can kind of understand rock and ground. They're kind of just hard to separate in Pokemon. Certain design aspects are hard to separate from a rock and a ground type. But I'm assuming, I think naked mole rats live underground. So I think that's kind of where that design basis comes from. And I'm sure in like the dex entries and stuff like that, it probably has some kind of digging aesthetic to it. Kind of looks like its teeth might be used for that kind of purpose. But anyway, it's a really cool, you know, Route 1 rodent Pokemon. Looks like we have our Route 1 bird, and it is Lubbird, and it is a pure flying type. It kind of looks like it's based on a kingfisher. I'm assuming it's supposed to be like a kingfisher Pokemon. And it's just really simple and cute. Got that whole, you know, Route 1 bird, you know, aesthetic to it. I like the coloration. Coloration's very different. I'm assuming we're probably going to get flying water type, which is unique for our Route 1 bird. I was to say we had Wingull and Pelipper, but they weren't exactly the Route 1 bird. That was like Swellow and Talo. But we kind of got two Route 1 birds because they were both, like, you know, the Route 1 bird typically has two evolutions rather than just one. So we kind of got made up for that with that. Anyway, Lubbird's really cute. I enjoy it. Next up, we've got Mateen, which is a water flying type. I was actually expecting it to be the other way around, to be flying water, but whatever, you know. Doesn't matter that much. But this is kind of cool. It's got like it's almost like kind of like a crown forming. So maybe we're gonna go like kingfisher literally. And it's got, I like the design on its like chest and like stomach region, because I really like when Pokemon in their designs start to hint at kind of like clothing. Like it almost like has like this like actual fisherman aesthetic to its like its design. It's, what's the word? Feathers. My gosh, I can think of words. It's kind of got this fisherman aesthetic to its feathers, which is really cool. Finally, we have Captorant, and I like the name because it's got like Captain plus Torrent, but also there's like Raptor in there, which is really cool. And it kind of looks like we've gotten like a pirate captain route. I was thinking like we were going fisherman, but no, went straight up pirate captain. It's got the like floof on the chest, like the little frilly thing. I never know the name of this. I see this design aesthetic in Fakemon a bunch, and I never like actually know what to call this little floofy part in the front. But yeah, I dig that, and I like the little pin, like the sides. You know, it's kind of got the coat where it's got the buttons on the sides, and they're 3 different colors. It's really cool, and like the browns and tans really remind me of Pidgey in coloration. So really cool, Kingfisher, captain of a pirate ship kind of thing going on, which I really enjoy. Oh my goodness, we have Truag, which is the Route 1 bug, and it is so cute. I'm assuming it's a mixture of twig plus bug. So that's true. It's so cute. Oh my goodness, I love that. Wow, okay, so it's really simple. It's just a simple little stick bug Pokemon, but Rod made it incredibly cute. It is incredibly cute. Truag evolves into Stick Kid, and we got a bug fighting type for our Route 1 bug, which is really cool. So it looks like Truag was kind of like the kid getting bullied. He had little tears, you little sad boy. And then like Stick Kid comes in, he's like, no, I'm gonna learn martial arts and I'm gonna, bully the bullies back. This was really cool. And I like that the stick bug aesthetic has been mixed with this kind of wrap, like, the wraps you get around the fists in like with boxers and just martial artists in general. And it's got this like structure around its hips that's like I don't know, like almost like, sounds dumb, but like a jock strap. Like, I don't know how else to describe it, but it's kind of like the aesthetic it gives me. Sorry, that's not meant to be rude or anything. It's just it's so dumb. And finally, we got Phasmask, which is, I don't know what that's a combination. I know Mask is in there, but what's like Phasma? I'm not sure. Well, bug fighting type, and it's like got this All Might kind of thing going on to it. It even has a little antennas, kind of like his hair. It's very, very All Might. And it's very kind of just like the hero. Like, I was the weak. It's got a Deku aesthetic to it. 100%. It's like Deku transforming into All Might in a way. It's really cool. I don't know if that was like supposed to be a thing, but it very much is what it's giving me, like as far as a design story. And in general, I just think it's kind of cool. It still has that like little teardrop thing, just like almost like saying like, hey, I haven't forgot the kid I was before I was a hero, but now that I have it, I wear it as like proudly, like I wear my tears proudly because the tears I shed grew me into the person I am today. I mean, it's Fakemon, so that's a little dramatic, but that's kind of what it gives me. I don't know. Next up, we've got Hoppinch. So it looks like we have two bug Pokemon. So this one's a bug dark type. Kind of what I did with Cornera, where I had two, like a bug fairy and a bug dark. So this is bug fighting and bug dark. And it's really interesting. It's like, it's supposed to be like a grasshopper Pokemon. It's got this like maw. It's got like this huge like chomper mouth going on here. And I'm curious how it stands. The anatomy is a little confusing to me. Like, does it have two legs? Or the things under, like, the blue part underneath the mouth, like, legs as well? I'm a little confused by the anatomy, but I think it's a cool design. Nonetheless, I think it's a really cool design. Yo, we've got Grassassin. That is so neat. Wow. I really, really enjoy that. That's cool. It's got this like Arabian assassin, like mercenary thing going on to it. Obviously, Grassassin got assassin in the name, so duh. But it's just really cool. It's got this like camo vibe to it, like it's trying to blend in, and like very sneaky. And that's like it's got almost like a Scyther thing going on with its like claws that it like has this like almost sword, very sharp claw, slicey kind of vibe going on to it, which is really, really cool. And I just genuinely just really enjoy this mod. I don't know if I'd pick the Truag or the Hoppinch line, honestly. Like, that's a heavy debate between the two. Because Bug Dark, new typing, and also you get Grassassin, which is really cool. And then, but you have Phasmask, and, Truag is just so cute. I don't know, man. That's a tough choice. Next up, we got Sharpine, and it's a cute little normal type porcupine Pokemon. Super adorable. It almost looks like it acts as like a secondary Route 1 rodent in a way. Which is super cute because, yeah, it has like Runaway as an ability, which is kind of interesting. That's super, super cute. It's just frankly adorable. Like Ron's, stage 1s are really, really cute. He really got a good way of capturing that cuteness level. And I like that it's got these like almost like horns, like these little horns, which makes it totally Pokemon. Like, oh, let's make a Pokemon, but give it a horn. Like that's so Pokemon, it just, that slight difference that, branches it off from reality, which is, like I said, completely Pokemon, and I love that. Next up, we've got Crastoxic, a normal poison type, new type combo, and it's really, really cool. Really, really cool. Very, very edgy, got that like toxic edginess to it with the sharpness of the quills, kind of going with that like poisonous quill aesthetic to it. And like I like how the horns have evolved into more of like a face mask, almost like it's like armor, which is really nice. Like generally I really enjoy this. It kind of is an antithesis and like a secondary Route 1 rodent to the Erodent line, because they, have normal ground and then normal poison. They kind of counteract each other, kind of opposites, in a similar way that Phasmac and Grasassin are to each other, Oh my gosh, it evolves again. We got Porcimpale, and it is a poison steel type now. So we went from normal poison to it's poison steel. So we've got like all the new type combos in in one line, which is kind of wild. And it looks like it's like using its quills now as like almost I was gonna say like a walking stick, but also kind of like a weapon, which is really, it almost has like this like elderly sage kind of aesthetic to it, whereas like the old man with his his wizard staff or whatever kind of thing, which is really cool. It's very, very armored. I initially thought it was gonna be normal steel when I saw the first stage. I can totally talk. It kind of implemented both of those little design aesthetics that I was kind of expecting out of the line, but they did it at the end. Next we have Gerbils, an electric fighting type, and it is so cute. That is our Pika clone of the region, and it's giving me Raichu vibes, and I love it. It's almost like Raichu and Emolga had a baby, and this is what it is. And I love the use of the electric fighting type, brand new type combo, super cool. And it's just like I'm assuming Jerboa is Jerboa like a kind of gerbil, or are they different? I don't know. But I love it. It fits perfectly, and it is a super cute Pika clone that I would totally use. Next up is the regional Grassmon, which is Tindrill, and it is just adorable, giving me huge Oddish vibes. And I love that, and it's just like this little, dude on, little kind of cute boy walking around on 2 legs. Oh, look, I got a little sprout on my head. So cute. So cute. Tindrill evolves into Vitendrill, and it is a grass fairy type. And I really, really like this. It's giving me like, weirdly enough, it's kind of giving me like White Mage vibes from like Final Fantasy, or even like, it's almost giving me Rydia vibes from Final Fantasy IV, if that makes any sense. That's kind of what the vibe is getting me, and I really enjoy that. And even Terra from Final Fantasy VI. I'm getting Final Fantasy vibes from this thing, and I love it. And the final stage is Vivites. I really like that. You could even say it as Vivites, and then we still get that Final Fantasy thing, VV, Final Fantasy IX. Anyway, I'm really trying to shoehorn in this Final Fantasy thing. But generally, it's really cool. It's just got these like berries all over, just berries on berries, and it's just very, fruitful. You could say that the final stage of this really paid off in Boar Fruit. Okay, I'm done. No more fruit puns for me. Next up, we've got Poilover and then Involuver, and they're both normal flying type. It's really interesting. I've seen this kind of bird before. I don't know its name, but they're the little guys that go like along the beach. That's exactly the vibe I'm getting from them. It's really cute. It's just generally the line is cute, and then a little bit of that kind of almost Corviknight level of like sternness to it. Next up, we got Voltelope and Thundorix, and I think this is like Thundorix especially is really cool. Pure electric type. Oh man, it's really cool, and it kind of like gives me like I don't know, the horns are giving me like some kind of electric, what's the word? Those things that like, you put them up and then like electricity branches between. I don't know the name. I am not educated enough to know. But generally the design is really cool. Very, very epic. Next up, it looks like we have our first regional variant of the ASONE region. So this is Osonian Pidove, I assume, and it is grass flying type, which is super cool. And I really enjoy the way that they made it feel just that slight bit different, adding these leaf-like elements to it. And it almost looks like I don't know if the eye got bigger, but for me, the eye just looks a little bit bigger. Just slight coloration changes and a little bit of addition of leaf-like elements is just enough to make a regional variant work. And I feel like a lot of people get caught up in making overly designed regional variants, but a lot of regional variants in the real games are just kind of simple changes that pay dividends, Next up, we got a Sonian Tranquil, and it continues that little simple changes. Now, the little fluff on its fur kind of looks like a little leaf bush. Got the little leaf-like elements on its head, and then the tail looks a little bit like, almost like a peacock tail in a way. And it's got this, it just has this very, grass aesthetic to it, and it's just very simple change, and I appreciate that. Whoa, last up, we've got Unpheasant, and it is so cool. It's a peacock now. That's so cool. Or maybe it's supposed to be like the like a peacock pheasant. Those are a thing. They're like pheasants that look like peacocks, and they're called peacock pheasants. Anyway, but maybe it's that, because, you know, I don't know if peacocks are actually pheasants, or peafowl, should say peafowl. I'm not sure if peafowl are pheasants in and of themselves, but they do have the peacock pheasant that exists. Really, really cool. I really enjoy this this regional variant. I would definitely throw this on my team. Looks like we've got another Asonian form, and it is Asonian Slackoth, and it is electric, pure electric, no normal electric type. That's really cool. So it looks like it's kind of gotten, it's got the Vigoroth pose, so maybe this one is more of a get up and go kind of guy, rather than the Slackoth, which is usually the chilling. So I wonder if they're going to reverse Vigoroth and make him more like lazy, and then go back to being super energetic with slacking. Yep, exactly how I thought. Asonian Vigoroth is very like calm. You know, they're sleeping. It's comatose. It's kind of like they're like meditating in a way. Very cool, and just like these little simple changes to personality and slight design aesthetic changes make for a really, really cool regional variant. And here we go, final stage, Asonian Slacking, and it has an ability called Rampage, which makes sense. This dude's looking like he's straight out of the game Rampage. Slacking looks like he has those blinders on. He's filled with rage, filled with his like electric rage, and he's just ready to just destroy anything in his path. I mean, look at that freaking 670 base stat total is nuts. Looks like we have two mons here, which is Faluna and Baneko, which is Psychic and then Fairy, and they look like they're kind of, might be, like, you know, what's the word? Version exclusives. And one is giving me kind of that Esper moment. The other is kind of giving me Sneasel, oddly enough. Like, the little, like, Baneko's, like, little ear is giving me, like, kind of Sneasel vibes with that. And I like these little dots and these little, you know, celestial elements on Faluna. And then, like, the kind of, like, they almost look like piercings on Baneko is really interesting as well. Faluna evolves into Phalanx, and it's a dark psychic type. Got that celestial kind of vibe to it. The stars and the like planets kind of going through its body in its design, and I love its mustache. I am an avid facial hair advocate. I love facial hair, so definitely a fan of this. And it looks like Baneko evolves into Baneko, which I'm pretty sure is Bakeneko. It's supposed to be like a reference to Bakeneko, the yokai, which is super cool. It's a dark fairy type, so we have a dark psychic and a dark fairy. That's cool. I love a good dark fairy type, you know, and fairy types generally that branch off, you know, the kind of expected path of fairy types is really cool. And I like how it has that split tail and generally has this like jewelry kind of thing going on to it. All of these mods have this kind of like jewelry aesthetic to them, and I think that's supposed to tie them all together into this general idea of a Middle Eastern region, which is super cool. And as far as the design, it's kind of giving me Zangoose a little bit, which is kind of cool. And I generally enjoy the dark typing, so super cool. Next up is Sonian Camerupt, and it looks like there was no art for a Sonian Numel, but there is an Sonian Numel. But this is water ground type, and I'm sure it's a reference to the fact that, you know, camels can store water for long periods of time so they can survive in the desert. So this is kind of a really cool aesthetic to it, and I like how it's like almost like a volcano, like one of those water volcanoes on its back. What's the word? A geyser? Oh god, geysers are water volcanoes, guys. That's yup. I always enjoy a Camerupt that goes in a different direction with the camel thing, because, you know, Camerupt isn't really quite a camel. It's just kind of like, it's short and stocky, and camels are large and long and elongated. So I like whenever they kind of can go with a camel that is more in that direction. I did it with myself with my Camelitia in Cornera, so definitely cool. Next up, we have Asonian Meowth, and it is a pure Psychic type, which is really cool because Psychic type is stronger than Fighting type, even though the past 3 versions of Meowth have been weak to Fighting type. This one is strong against it, which is really cool. And it's gone for this whole you know, Egyptian design aesthetic, you know, kind of the veneration of cats known in Egypt, known throughout Egypt. And I love that it's, you know, coin is now a little scarab thing. That's really cool. Whoa, so we've got Profit. I like that name. That's a clever, cheeky little name. And they went in very interesting and different direction. They like gave it the face of Persian, but the body of Berserker, which is so interesting. Like, well, the body of Meowth, technically, but like that same kind of Berserker vibe where it's on 2 legs, continuing that like Meowth thing where it's on 2 legs that Berserker does. But they've given it this like Sphinx Persian face, which is so different, and its tail is like Deoxys vibes of like the, you know, the DNA. That's so different, and it is kind of giving me Bakineko vibes too, because with the split tail kind of thing going on there. Really interesting, really different, and I appreciate that the level of difference this is than typical Persian or Berserker kind of things going on there. They kind of fused the two elements of them. Next up, we have Asonian Mightyena. Apparently, there's an Asonian Poochyena. There's just no art of it, but just kind of like normal. But this is Asonian Mightyena. It is a dark ground type now. It got the ground additional type, and it's probably a reference to like African hyenas, and that kind of like they like live in like that kind of plains, deserty kind of area to it, and that's just cool. I really like the changing of like the full like huge amounts of fur that Mightyena has, and you know, thinning it down and turning it into more of this like mud-like pattern. And it looks like Mightyena actually evolves into Barbarina, which is super cool. Dark ground type. We got the bone and like it's giving me like Cubone, Houndoom, Mightyena fusion going on here. That's super sick. And it's generally just a really cool design. It's kind of a reference to the were-hyena of Africa, which is super dope. Super dope. I'm sure there's were-hyenas other than Africa, like, you know, in other regions. I'm pretty sure there's were-hyenas in like India and that kind of area too. But super, super cool. I think that's really interesting. It kind of gives me that Obstagoon kind of feeling to it as well. Next up, we've got two new Pokemon and ground fighting types, Habitat and Strutridge. Those are really cool. I am interested in the whole shrubbery aesthetic. Like I can get the ground typing more so from Strutridge than I can from Habitat. I am assuming like the bushes are supposed to be kind of maybe like it's supposed to be disguising itself so that it can like, evade from predators. I'm not 100% certain. Like I said, haven't watched the videos, so once I do, I will get a better idea of that. I'm sure lots of people are going to correct me in the comments anyway, but still, I can definitely get ground type from Strutridge. Not so much Habitat, but definitely Strutridge. I guess, you know, Habitat kind of looks like it has that layered sediment kind of thing going on to it. But generally, ground fighting type, new type combination, super neat. Next up, we've got Halite, Sapoline, and Thar, and it's a grass rock type. Interesting. What? That's like giving me like, that's giving me like Reuniclus vibes, but like rock type. I'm interested in the grass typing. Is it supposed to be some like, is it supposed to be like petrified wood kind of a thing going on there? Like it's supposed to be like some kind of like petrified wood, like wood encased in rocks. I'm not sure what this is a reference to, but I'd love to figure that out. It's really, really interesting, and I do enjoy how like it starts to like more so break out of the rock and like kind of have the rock more incorporated into its anatomy rather than just being in the rock and then having two little legs. Now it has like a rock and it's the tail is coming out of the backside. It's got arms coming out of the side, kind of a thing, which is really, it's just generally just an interesting concept, and I'm excited to learn more about it. Next up, we have Suicipant and Misowine, a ground and a ground poison type. This is a really cute concept because it looks like Suicipant is like really like almost like germophobic. And like really, yeah, it's got these like little gloves and mask to like cover itself. It doesn't want to get dirty and stuff like that. But then you trade it with some mud, and then it gets all dirty. And now it's poison type. It's like, yeah, no, I'm gonna embrace my, you know, my inner pig, and you know, go for it and get all dirty in the mud. And it's kind of giving me peccary vibes. Peccary are these kind of pigs that roll around in the mud, and they're extremely foul smelling. So poison type would make sense for that. I just generally enjoy this like going from this neat and orderly kind of pig to the, you know, down in the dirt, you know, muddy pig. Next up, we've got Girafferin. So this is an evolution to Giraffarig and is part Kieran now. I really, really appreciate the Girafferin. Like it mixes in with Giraffarig. It's like you just changed like 2 letters and it made it the like Kieran part, which is kind of cool. It kind of goes in that same rhyming scheme. That being said, I kind of do wish it was kind of like near a Kieran, you know, or something like that, like the inverse of Kieran, but it makes sense and it works. It very much works, and it kind of is in line with Giraffarig, it works. And it's a dragon psychic type, super cool. Like it's very intimidating, and it like leans more into that like giraffe aesthetic, like being very tall and looming, and that draconic like looming intimidation factor that like a lot of dragons have. Next up, we've got Plumase, a flying dark type. And oh my gosh, is that terrifying? This is based on some birds of paradise. Like there's a certain bird of paradise that can do this thing, and it's supposed to like where it like makes like a face, and it's supposed to like be a courtship display. But this looks terrifying. It's really creepy. Like the way that the smile with the teeth is really creepy. It is not friend shaped. When a design can strike fear in you and make you feel something like that, you know it's a good design. Next, we've got Sparkter and Voltelope, and they're an electric ghost type, and I think electric ghost type definitely needs to be a thing aside from Rotom. There's so many avenues you could go with an electric ghost type, and this is one of them, and it's just super cute. Sparkter is so adorable, and even Voltelope is really, really cute. I think its face is super snowman-y, very cute in that. It kind of gives me Persona, Shin Megami Tensei Persona vibes. I don't know why I said the full title. That's just literally why I felt like clarifying. Anyway, Voltelope actually is kind of giving me the Guardian of Ansem and Kingdom Hearts 1. Kind of gives me that same vibe as well. Next up, we've got Terrafract and Terraflect. And these dudes, that Terrafract is giving me huge puppet from FNAF energy. Very creepy. Ghost Dark type fits very well. Terraflect, not so much. It is kind of scary, but the way that Terrafract is looking at me, I do not like. They almost look like they're beings from like another dimension. They have that kind of like digital pixelized kind of like floating aesthetic to them, almost kind of like Porygon, but like and kind of FNAF in that way, where like they have like the pixelized like purple guy and stuff like that. Kind of gives me that same vibe to it. Next up, we have Glottal and Luminsect, bug electric types. I am such an avid fan of the bug electric type. We've got Vikavolt, we've got Galvantula. I love that type combo. It's such a cool type combination, especially given that bugs resist ground. So like I'm pretty sure ground becomes neutral, and so it really helps out that electric typing for the bug. And I'm pretty sure electric type does not cancel out fire type. I'm probably wrong. But as far as Glottal and Luminsect, Glottal, super cute. Little Firefly, electric type kind of thing going on there. And Luminsect, I like that its whole body is kind of, luminous and, kind of given the name. And it's just really simple with the electric elements incorporated into a more insectoid design. Next up, we've got Possessed. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be like Possessed plus insect or plus infestation, maybe something to that regard. It's a bug ghost type, which we haven't seen since Shedinja, so that's really cool. And it's just kind of like this, got this like little, it's almost like Slimer from from Ghostbusters, kind of like energy, but like cuter, but like way cuter than Slimer, like super cute version of Slimer. So I'm assuming it's got this like larval aesthetic to it, so maybe it'll evolve. We've got Vermant, so it did evolve from Possessed Vermant, which is also bug ghost type. And it's kind of these floating limbs. I just think floating limbs on ghost types is just super cool. And it's almost giving me poison type. I'm not sure that's like purple spot on it. It almost looks like it's supposed to be like Vermant's supposed to be see-through, but it's not quite, like it doesn't quite have the transparency to be see-through, as at least on the image here. So kind of interested in what that's supposed to be, but I guess I'll find out. Next up, we've got Offly, which is a trait evolution of Vermant, and it is bug ghost type. So we keep that bug ghost type throughout the entire design, which we love to see it. 3-stage bug ghost type, where gives it that true respect that it deserves, giving it its own line, not just some kind of offshoot shell thing that you had with Nincada and Ninjask. It's actually, a full-on, full-fledged 3-stage line, which I really like. And it looks like it's supposed to have this spiritual energy in its stomach, which is what I think Vermant was supposed to have. It didn't quite have the transparency, so that didn't kind of come across to me at first, but now I can kind of see that that's what it's supposed to be. The design to me is very interesting because the top kind of looks like this like itty bitty dude, like gonna get ya, like, but then the bottom is like this hulking like bug. Next up, we have Torpices and then Duncraft. That is sick. So it's a water steel type, and it is based on torpedoes and like submarines. I think that's supposed to be the thing. It's like a torpedo that evolves into a submarine. And it's supposed to be on Dunkleosteus. What is it called? Dunkleosteus. I'm pretty sure that's how that's supposed to be pronounced. It's also the inspiration of the Vish part of the Galar fossils. So that's super cool, and I really enjoy the whole fish combined with watercraft thing, or like in this case torpedo as well. So fish combined with watercraft thing, water steel type is a really, really cool underused type combo. So I greatly appreciate this line. I think Duncraft is particularly cool. Probably one I would have on my team. Next up, we have Stagmite and Actite, which are rock flying types. Super cool. You know, incorporating, you know, the stalactites and stalagmites of caves in with bats who usually typically hang out in caves and hang from the ceiling like a stalactite. I'm pretty sure stalactite's the one that hangs from the ceiling. And stalagmites, yeah. Well, I mean, you can see here, stalagmite is on the ground, kind of resting on the ground, and Actite is, you know, has the actually, that's really a cool little design aesthetic, that it's called Stagmite, and the little, you know, rocks are growing from up, and then the Actite, it's growing down from its wings. That's super cool. Actite is probably another one I think I would have on my team. Next up, we have Asonian Furret, which there's an Asonian Centret, just no art of it. And it is a pure ice type, and it looks so cute. I think the little floof around its neck is super cute. I'm assuming this is based on like Least Weasel, which can have a fur coat, like a snow coat, and then like there's the Ermine, I'm pretty sure that can do that as well. So like they're kind of having a snow coat of like the winter coat, not a snow coat, the winter coat of mustelids and stuff like that. And it's just kind of got this little snowman aesthetic to it. I like the changing of the whiskers to these little ice crystals. Very simple but effective, changed to make a really dope regional variant. Oh my goodness, we've got Burret. That is adorable and such a freaking cute name. And it's got fur coat. That's dope. Okay. It's very long, very big, long boy, pure ice type. This is really cool evolution to Furret, like a really well done way of handling it. And it's got this like crown on its head, and it's very royal. It got this like royal cape and royal crown kind of thing going on. Just the king of the rodents, which I think is super cool. No pun intended. Next up is Carbunk, and this is actually one of the ones I've seen before. And I genuinely enjoy this mon. I think an evolution to Carbink is super cool. Diancie are like mutated Carbink, so there's kind of like that kind of thing going on there. But seeing a true blue Carbink evolution, this looks like it would be a protector of you know, Diancie. I'm pretty sure Carbink are supposed to be protectors of Diancie, but seeing like an actual full-fledged like stone guardian, like Gollum almost, like guardian to it, you know, like I could see statues of Carbunk like hanging out around like where you would maybe find Diancie in the ASONE region. Super cool, and those defense stats are cracked out the gills. My goodness. Next up, we've got Asonian Azumarill, which apparently there is an Asonian Marill. It didn't say if there was an Asonian Azurill, but this is a fire rock type Azumarill, and it's kind of giving me almost Delta Pokemon from Pokemon Insurgents. That's what it's giving me. It's very interesting. I wonder what kind of change brought this on. I'll find out, of course. But I'm wondering what kind of change brought on the full shift from Water Fairy to Fire Rock. So it's, as far as the design goes, really cool, really well done, and I like how they incorporated the, you know, kind of water pattern that like the bubbles pattern that Azumarill has, and turned it into more stones, you know, like, you know, the stones being held together by like magma and stuff like that. Next up, we have Zapuni. Oh my goodness, is this supposed to be like based on a pygmy marmoset? Is that what it's supposed to be? But it's just this little bean. He's just this little bean, tiny little cute big-eyed bean with a little electric tail. He's so adorable. So cute. I just there's something about this. It's just like, it's the bean shape for me. It's friend shaped. It's 100% friend shaped. Oh boy, we've got ourselves an electric fire type in Activolt. This dude looks like he's about to teach some kind of aerobics class. He just looks like he's ready to go. Like, let's go. Let's get into it. I think like having energy, like the idea of having energy, translating that into the electric typing, like having just a lot of balled up energy, is a super fun design aesthetic. Next up, we have Lorisurge, and I really like this design. This is another one that would be on my team. The design of this is so well done. I'm not sure if the entire line is supposed to be based on Loris's. Maybe I'm like different species of Loris's. But I like the name. I like the design concept. And it generally looks like one of those just really epic mons that I would, want to have on my team. Yo, we've got a Sonian Rotom. It's Ghost Poison. I'm pretty sure this is like supposed to be a reference to those like kind of, is it bacteria? Those kind of cells that have that like kind of like almost like robot look to them. It's very much that. I wonder, does it like get new forms, or is it like just purely this? I think that's super cool. Ghost Poison type, by the way. Super cool type combination that is only used by the Ghastly Hunter and Gengar line. Like, that is the only one that has Ghost Poison, and I think that's such a shame because that's such a cool type combo. Let's get more of that type combo, please. Next up, we've got a Psychic type Spinda, which is so unique, and it's very much like, I think it's supposed to be a lava lamp. It looks like a lava lamp with its pattern. And that's really cool because you could keep that whole thing about Spinda where it has the varying patterns because, you know, the lava lamp's always moving, always changing, you know, so like you could keep that design aesthetic to Spinda while giving it a new typing, which is super, super fun. I think that's such a fun regional variant. Spinda evolves into Swirl Lava, a fire psychic type. I kind of felt this one coming on. A fire psychic type makes sense for the lava lamp, that lava lamp design aesthetic. And it looks like Swirl Lava has broken out of said lava lamp because it has these like glass like almost pants going on. And it's just like spinning and it's crazy. Like all this swirling energy, like it's using like telekinesis to hold all its like swirling elements together. It almost looks like it could have a third arm going on underneath in this like little tummy section. Like it's craziness, but I think as a Spinda evolution, this is super well done and super neat. So it looks like we've got Ventex, and it looks like this was probably a part of some kind of challenge where they were trying to guess real or fake Pokemon, something like that. So this is just like a little, like almost crab, or I'm not sure if it's supposed to be a crab or a bug, but it's like a, you know, some kind of insectoid kind of thing with a vent coming out of it, like a heat vent. I'm not sure what the typing is there. But I'm sure that's probably explained in the video. I'm not listening to the audio. I'm just looking at the designs here, but generally kind of just a cool concept, and I'm excited to see more about it. Next, we've got a Sonian Lux. Man, that's really, really cool and really well done. I love the flowing elements of its fur. It's got that split tail again, that Bake Neko vibe. And I like the little bits of crystalline, you know, little ice, little pattern on its fur. This is so well done. Oh man, I really enjoy that. And then a Sonian Luxray. It's got that flowiness to it. It's giving me like Hisuian Zorua vibes, and I dig it a lot. I love Hisuian Zorua. And this was probably made before Hisuian Zorua was a thing. So really cool. Ice Fairy type also is a really cool type combo. I really like that type combo. Yeah, just generally a really, really epic regional variant. So we've had Smokecalf, and now we have Cafrost. So this is a like kind of like almost the antithesis to our fire starter, but it is a supposed to be the idea. It's supposed to be like a yak. Maybe I'm wrong. But I really enjoy the use of it, like having like this what's the word? Like saddle mixed with the clothing and the hat. I'm not sure exactly what culture that comes from. I apologize in advance. But I've seen this before. I've definitely seen this kind of clothing before, and like I said before, I always enjoy when they kind of do nods to clothing in fur of Pokemon designs. Cafrost evolves into Cryovibos or Cryovibos. I guess I could listen to the video and find out. But anyway, I love the ice horns, like the hexagonal, you know, structured ice, like ice sculpture horns that it has going on, and it just looks very bulky and beefy. It's really interesting. It looks like it has a very high attack stat and a very high defense and special defense stat, which this thing looks like it would be pretty monstrous. Another one that I think I would add to my team. I usually like to do new Pokemon and regional variants and stuff like that. So I'd probably pick this over a Sonian Luxray. Though I really do enjoy Sonian Luxray. I always like using new Pokemon over regional variants, but that's just me. Next up, we've got Asonian Wailord, and apparently there is an Asonian Wailmer, then yet another one that doesn't have art made. But anyway, Asonian Wailord, giving me Sandworm from Dune vibes, kind of almost giving me like a Monster Hunter kind of aesthetic to it, which super cool. This is also one of the ones I have seen before. But I do like love the like idea of a like ground type whale that just buries its way through the earth. Next up, we've got an evolution to Shuckle called Shuckcastle, which I think is such a clever name, and the design is next level. Like, if we ever get a Shuckle evolution, I hope this is it. That is so cool, and it has like a kind of a gourd, like kind of like a storage gourd thingy, kind of like Gara from Naruto. It kind of has that same kind of aesthetic to it, and it looks like it has cannons coming out of everywhere. So cool, and such a cool way of handling a Shuckle evolution. Next we have Clownine, another psychic fire type, and it's just got this is just a, you know, gestury canine. That's the best way to handle it. I think the design's really cool, and it incorporates the jester kind of aspects into it very well. Kind of gives me that like Lucario of the region vibe to it. Next we've got Petroleuth, and this is like, this is so interesting. So it's like a turtle covered in oil, which is very sad. Water poison, but yeah, it's kind of got that thing about, the poisoning of the ocean and dumping oil into the ocean and covering animals, but in this case, Pokemon. But as far as the design goes, I think it is really interesting. I like, I've said this in the past, but I like it when there's patterns that aren't exactly like set patterns. It's very flowy and flows through the design well. I'm curious, does it have one foot, or is that like, does it have only one back fin, or are there two and it's just hidden? I'm unsure. Next, I've got Putra Dome, which is really cool because it's like a sea turtle, but it also is giving me like Plesiosaurus vibes, which is super neat. And it's got almost like this trippy, it's you know what it is? It's the coloration is like the sheen on oil. It has that kind of like rainbow sheen to it, which is really, really, really neat way of incorporating that oil into the design itself. And generally, I'm digging the water types of this region. Ron really has killed the water types of this region, and so I feel like I'm gonna have like a full team of water types. I gotta be a water type gym leader in ASONE, you know. Next, we've got Madama, and this is super interesting because it looks like it's a snake with two faces, and it also is kind of like the idea of being two-faced because it's fairy and poison type, which are kind of like types that are opposite of each other. So on one hand, you have this really nice forward-facing face that's like very like, pretty and like, hey, I'm your friend. And then on the other side, it's got this face that's very like malevolent looking, like it's gonna like, don't get too close or I'm gonna get you kind of thing going on there. Next, we've got Clawstrap. Is this supposed to be like a mixture of trap and claustrophobic? That's kind of cool. A bug steel type, and two of its arms are these just big walls that it's holding up. I love spider Pokemon. I think like we should do more. Let's do more fluffy, cool spider Pokemon. Like Galvantula is super neat, and I just want more of that kind of design aesthetic going on. So this really speaks to me, and I like that it kind of almost like it's camouflaging. Like you couldn't see it like behind this wall, and it's, oh, is this supposed to be like a trapdoor spider? Duh, this is supposed to be like a trapdoor spider. So it's like trying to make you think, oh, you're about to walk into this wall, but actually, no, it's me, and I'm going to eat you. Next up, we've got Menhis, which is a dragon grass-type snake Pokemon, which is super neat, and I like that they've incorporated this like palm tree, and they've incorporated that into these scales on the its neck, tail, and the like underside of it, and that's super neat. That's a super way of making like a snake Pokemon look intimidating. It's like a rattlesnake in that way. Like rattlesnakes have these very like sharp-looking scales, and that's so neat. And I like the way they gave it like little fringe on its chin and its a little hairline there. Really cool. It actually looks like Menhis has another form where it's like kind of dried up, like this dried up tree. I'm very interested to learn what causes that. Kecleon evolution, and it's Psycholion, a normal psychic type. And so it's got this new ability called Pigmentation. I wonder if it's like, keeps the primary typing, or changes the primary typing and keeps the secondary typing. So like it becomes, water psychic or fire psychic the second that it gets hit or something like that. But as far as the design, it's a really solid chameleon Pokemon. Like it's just in general, a really solid evolution to Kecleon. It really improves upon those little elements, expanding that little red stripe across his stomach and making this like, multi-layered, color blocked kind of design. It's super, super neat and really well done. Next up, we've got Salumen, and it's actually a fire dragon type, which is interesting because they just decided to forego the primary rock typing. I think that's kind of become like a thing that like people really want to see the original typings of these revived fossils. So I'm curious how he explained away getting rid of that primary rock typing. But aside from that, I think this is the really, really cool design. It's supposed to be a Spinosaurus, I assume. It's going to evolve into a Spinosaurus. And as far as like a Spinosaurus baby mon goes, this is really cute and really, but also like has that draconic and like really fun typing. And it kind of has like this explosion kind of aesthetic to it within the eyes, on the stomach, in the tail, and even on the spine. Like it looks like it's kind of like exploding. And this is a really, really well done design. I'm really, really like this one. Next up, we've got Bradyate. That is so neat. The fire dragon type. This definitely has to be on my team. I really like this. And I like the pattern incorporated onto the side and almost like the mask kind of thing it has going on its face. It's really, really neat. Wow. Next up, we've got Basil Lapis, and it is a water dragon type instead of a fire dragon type. So both of these fossils have dragon type in them, and Basil Lapis is, I'm assuming, Basilosaurus plus Lapis Lazuli, you know, because it's famous for being very, very blue. But as far as just a, you know, Fossilmon, this is... Next up, we've got Drownormus. So it's water dark type, so it completely abandons that dragon typing. I understand the design very much screams water dark type, but I could also see like it changing, like not having such of a dark coloration, maybe being a lighter color, kind of like its pre-evolution, and keeping that water dragon type. This does still scream like say water dragon type to me, but I'm very interested as to why he decided to change it to water dark type. Maybe to avoid it completely being the same, but I would have just made the first stage just pure water at that point. I don't know. That's just me. Next up, we've got Periterra, another normal ground type in this region, and those stats are busted, my guy. 105 HP, 130 attack, and 120 defense. Wow, this dude is physical. Let's get physical, my goodness. But as far as the design goes, I think this is really, really, really neat design. I think this is based on another fossil. Yeah, this is a fossil, so this is a normal ground type fossil. I'm very interested how he's going to explain away the lack of rock typing. I could see this easily as a rock ground type as well. But as far as the design, we got that layered sediment kind of going on, the chunky mud kind of design going on there, mixed in with this like almost okapi kind of design. I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be like an ancestor of the okapi and the giraffe. I'm pretty sure that's what this is supposed to be based on. I'm not 100% certain. I know, don't come for me, paleontology community. Oh my goodness, it looks like we've got Drakeon, and it's a dragon rock type. Me and Ron, same wavelength. I have my my Genos Drakeon, which is dragon rock type as well. And this one looks like it adds more craggy elements than more of my like the you know Mayan aesthetic I did with the Genos Drakeon of Cornera. But I really, really like this. It has like supervillain energy to it, and that adds that to that dread part of the Drakeon. Oh my gosh, it looks like we've got an evolution, which is Alluvion, and I genuinely enjoy this design. I love how he kept it simple. It seems that Ron really understands that not every design has to be overly designed, especially when it comes to evolutions. A lot of evolutions are so over designed, but this one keeps it simple. Has this little collar on its neck, has a little thing on its eye, so you can say, oh yeah, that's a nod to Egyptian. And it's even got the tail, the way of the tail shaped. It's kind of like a crook. It's even got like a crook in its tail. Like the little subtle design details that make it a solid evolution. Next up, it looks like we've got Drakeon, and this one's giving me kind of Vaporeon vibes, and we've got this like really long flowing fur, kind of that like Chinese or Japanese dragon kind of aesthetic going on to it. Very much the wise dragon. And these little scales added throughout are really, really neat and add to this design. Next up, we've got Metallion, which I think is a great name for an evolution. Steel type, and it's just got these armory vibes to it. This little, plating along its back. Very, very simple, very elegantly done steel type evolution. Next up, we've got Spectrion, and another very simple little design thing going on here. We got the little stripes in the back, the wispy hair and tail, and boom, evolution. Very simple, like I think like that the simplicity of it is really what like makes me drawn to this evolution. I think Alluvion and Spectrion are probably my two favorites of these. I'm not sure if he's going to do every type, but it looks like he's done Ghost, Steel, Dragon, and Ground. So I don't know if we'll go all the way and do all of them, but it looks like 4 is currently what we've got going on. Next up, we've got Infantrek, which is infant plus something. I'm not sure what the Trek part is, but it is a pure poison type. I think pure poison types are super cool. I think there should be more pure poison types. I'm sure there's a lot already. I'm pretty sure there's a ton in Gen 1 and there's one in Gen 3. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I think pure poison types are fun. I just think that's cool. And this lizard just being simple, like it's you know, it looks like it probably could be ground poison as it evolves. It's kind of got this like pottery aesthetic going on to it. I think it's super cool. I'm excited to see how this evolves. All right, we've got Captoxic. So maybe like Captain plus Toxic. Like it looks like it's leading these Infantrek, and it's a Poison Dark type. That's cool. Poison Dark is a fun type combo. You know, we've got Drakeon there with the Poison Dark typing, and their only weakness is ground, I'm pretty sure. So that's super cool. But as far as the design goes, it's kind of giving me, you know, Komodo Dragon, bipedal Komodo Dragon with these like armor elements, which is super neat. Ooh, we've got Viralurk. This is our pseudo legendary, I just realized. It's a Poison Dark pseudo legendary, no dragon to be found. That's cool. And it looks like it's almost like its body is made up of like this like vial of poison. Like you can see like there's this poison stored in its cheeks, and maybe like it looks like it's throughout its body maybe. That's neat. It looks very, very intimidating. Very much that in line with that pseudo vibe, and also that Komodo dragon vibe that I was talking about with its previous form. It's very, very, oh, wow. A Poison Dark pseudo, super unique. Looks like we've got our first of the legendaries. I think this is Azarera. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Psychic Steel type. And I think this design is super neat. Very like I'm unsure what the design aesthetic of the two legendaries is supposed to be, but to me this looks very modern. Maybe this is supposed to be like past versus present kind of thing. It's very much giving me, you know, digital, like new age, you know, that Psychic Steel type is, you know, kind of like that kind of thing, that new age aesthetic to it. It's also giving me that Baphomet kind of vibe with the wings and then the horns. So I wonder if that was some kind of like there was some kind of allusion to that in its oh, it says like the Forbidden Knowledge Pokemon. Oh, so maybe it is kind of like supposed to be that kind of like almost satanic, like fallen angel kind of thing going on to it. Next up, we got Shemarera, which is the Hidden Technique Pokemon, fighting ghost type, and it shares that with Marshadow, and it almost has like the same kind of Marshadow-esque plume kind of thing, like helmet thing going on with his thing. I wonder if there's any kind of relation there. Looking at the Dex entry, it does have some kind of relation to Marshadow there, so that's really cool. Really nice little nod, and giving a little bit more lore to Marshadow is really cool. Next up, we've got Emissarif, and this is, yeah, Emissary. So Emissary plus Seraph, Fairy Dark type, which is so neat because it is actually gives me very much Draconic vibes, but like I could have seen Fairy Dragon for this, but Fairy Dark is really well, like works really well with it. And I love like the biblical feeling it has to it. This is very, almost like it has very Quasar vibes too. It's supposed to, and I think it's supposed to, because I think it's supposed to have that like, that, you know, middle ground between the two, or not middle ground, but that trio leader vibe to it. It's very much giving me Absol, like Mega Absol vibes, and I just read a little bit of the Dex, and it says that it actually created Absol in its own image, which is super cool. It also has like some relation to Arceus. It's just like literally just an emissary for Arceus. Also very cool. And it looks like Emissarif actually has another form, which is so cool because it is based on biblically accurate angels, which I love, and seraphs in general. Seraphs are when I say biblically accurate angels, seraphs are what come to mind. Seraphs are so cool, like the twisting and all the thousand eyes and wings, and so this incorporated into a Pokemon design is really, really neat, and I think it works really well. Next up, we have Croc Cosmic, which is a water psychic type. I love the idea of a cosmic alligator. I'm not sure, I think this is supposed to be a legendary. Okay, yeah, its height is 32 feet, so I'm assuming this is supposed to be some kind of legendary or mythical Pokemon. I like the way that Ron does like cosmic, like that psychic cosmic energy kind of thing. I really enjoy the way that he does this in his designs. Next up, we've got Nemetophis, which is a ground dragon type, and I thoroughly enjoy this. This is supposed to be like called the, oh, man, I said this and people corrected me. There's thing called like the Scaly Devil, I think. Is like the name, something like that. And I know people are still going to correct me. But this thing is 65 feet tall. Wow. Okay, that's really cool. I like that they... this is another one I feel like rock could also fit really easily, just because of the craggy elements to it. Like, once again, ground rock type, very hard to differentiate between design-wise. So next up, we've got Macaw, an ice steel type. This thing is 13 feet tall. That is huge. This is a big boy. I like the incorporation of the ice steel type into a Norse kind of inspired thing. Plus, like the macaque, you know, like combining a macaque with a Norse, you know, a design aesthetic. Like, who would think of that? That's like wild, and I love it. And like the I was gonna say the cryogonal. I mean, it works. The hexagonal little cryogenic. Man, I really cannot escape cryogonal in the brain. The hexagonal ice-like features on its arms and legs, and then like going into these like Norse rune bracers is really cool. And I like the Norse helmet, and it looks like it has like that 1,000-yard stare kind of going on. Like, it looks like it can see through your soul. Like, and I really dig that. Next up, it looks like it has a counterpart called Babog. And I'm not sure what this design aesthetic this is supposed to be replicating. I can't attest to it, but I'm assuming some maybe kind of Arabian vibe going on there. But I think that they might be supposed to be kind of, yeah, they're the invading Pokemon. So maybe they're supposed to be based on separate kinds of invaders, like Vikings invading, and then this maybe some kind of invader of the, you know, Arabian invader that I'm not 100% sure here. I am talking out of my butt. So, but as far as the design, rock steel type, it goes like the bracers are really cool because it kind of has that layered sediment thing to it, as well as the helmet has that layered sediment thing to it, in, you know, getting that rock typing in there, and then like kind of like a stalagmite tail. I got the stalagmite right, stalagmite, because of that bat. I remembered. Thank you, thank you, Ron. You helped me learn the difference today. But yeah, generally like the spiky kind of energy very much feels rock type to me. Next we have Alexano, a fighting fairy type, a new type combo, and this is very interesting to me from a design perspective. This has to have some kind of like mythological basis to it, because it is so unique and different, like as far as like a Pokemon goes. It looks very like sage, like very, very, very wise lion, like you'd come to Alexano to like learn the secrets of the universe. And maybe Alexano is supposed to be like a reference to like the Library of Alexandria. Next up, we've got Adolescent, and that's so neat. It's giving me the Kodama from Princess Mononoke, and I think they're in Totoro as well. But the Kodama, the tree spirits from those two movies, like that's exactly what this is giving me. And it's got this stained glass thing. It's very much like stained glass art. And like the color mapping, color blocking is super cool. And like a lot of the time Pokemon will use only 4 or 5 colors per the design. But for this, it makes so much sense to have like all these different colors. And it's really just cool the way it's just beautiful. It really is. It's just beautiful and cute at the same time. Okay, so we have an evolution to Minior called Cometa. And it's giving me like Ledian vibes. Like the body shape is very like Ledian. But a rock psychic type, and I know, honestly, I do think that Minior should have gotten an evolution, and I like how it's kind of bursting out of the shell that Minior had and using it as a pants and collar. That is extremely clever. And I'm also realizing each little spike from Minior expanded to like a headpiece, and then its little like cone-like arms and legs. That's insanely clever, and I really, really, really like that. Next up is Croc Cosmic, a rock dragon type, and this thing is giving me the dragon statues from Spyro, 1,010%. That's, oh my gosh, I love Spyro. Spyro is one of my childhood games I played on the PS1. So fun, and I loved freeing those dragons, but I loved the look of the dragon statues, and that's exactly what this feels like to me. And I just, once again, I love the way that Ron does Cosmic. I love the way that he does this Cosmic kind of feeling to it. for the ASONE region. So thank you so much to Ron for letting me review this region. It was a very fun time. I very much enjoyed it. I'm very much excited to watch the full series and get the lowdown on what all these Pokemon were about. But if you guys enjoyed, make sure to let me know which one was your favorite in the comments down below, and hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to keep up to date with future videos. And with that, I will see you guys next time.